Did you know that fatty liver after 60 is far more common than most people realize, even among those who never drank alcohol or followed unhealthy habits? What surprises doctors is how often it appears with normal-looking lab results. That's why so many cases go unnoticed for years. This condition doesn't always cause pain or obvious symptoms. In fact, it often develops quietly in the background. That's why it's now called a form of silent liver damage. Most people believe liver problems only happen with heavy drinking or obesity, but that assumption leaves millions completely unaware of what's happening inside their bodies. Especially after 60, the liver can change how it processes fat without warning signs. No sharp pain, no clear alerts, just small internal shifts that slowly build over time. And almost no one explains this clearly. What makes this even more concerning is how common it actually is. Many seniors discover it by accident during routine exams. Others never discover it at all until symptoms appear later. That's why the idea of fatty liver after 60 deserves attention. Not because it's rare, but because it's often invisible, and because the real cause isn't what most people think, which leads to something very few doctors explain next. If you're over 60, there's a good chance you've already tried doing the right things. Eating lighter meals, avoiding greasy or heavy foods, listening to general health advice you've heard for years, maybe even cutting back on things you enjoy. Yet somehow your body doesn't seem to respond, and that can feel frustrating and confusing. Many people in this stage notice constant tiredness, a heavy feeling in the abdomen, bloating that shows up even after small meals, digestion that feels slower than it used to be, and lab results that never seem bad enough but never really improve either. It creates a feeling that something is off, but unclear what, and that uncertainty can be exhausting. What makes it harder is that none of this feels dramatic. There's no sharp pain or emergency signal, just a gradual loss of energy, a sense that your body isn't working like it once did. You may even hear, "That's just age," but deep down, you know something doesn't feel right, and you start wondering if you're missing something important. Many people blame themselves at this point. They think they didn't try hard enough, that they should eat even less or exercise more. But this mindset often leads to frustration, not results, because effort alone isn't the real issue here, and discipline isn't the missing piece. The problem goes deeper than that. The truth is, most people are following advice that only looks at the surface. They're trying to fix symptoms instead of understanding the process behind them. They're told to focus on food alone, or to watch their numbers. But the body doesn't work in isolated parts, especially not after 60. And that's where the confusion begins. This is the part almost no one explains clearly, because what's happening isn't about failure or lack of willpower. It's about looking in the wrong direction. When you understand what's really driving these changes, everything starts to make sense. And the moment that shift happens, the entire picture changes. Which brings us to the real mistake most people make next, and why fixing just one piece never works. The most common mistake people make is treating the liver as if it works alone. They look at it like a single organ with a single problem. So they try to fix it directly. They change their diet. They cut certain foods. They focus only on numbers and lab results. But the body doesn't work that way. This approach ignores something critical about aging and liver health. As we get older, the liver becomes part of a much larger system. It responds to signals coming from metabolism, circulation, and energy balance. When those signals are off, the liver adapts, not always in a good way. That's why focusing on the liver alone often leads to frustration, because the real issue may not start there at all, and that's where most people get stuck. A good way to understand this is with a simple metaphor. Trying to fix fatty liver by diet alone is like changing a light bulb. The bulb looks like the problem, but the real issue is faulty wiring behind the wall. You can replace the bulb again and again, but the light will keep failing, because the source of the problem was never addressed. This is exactly how the hidden cause of fatty liver works. It doesn't come from one bad habit. It develops from how multiple systems interact over time, especially as the body ages. That's why people who do everything right still struggle. They're working on the surface, while the real imbalance continues underneath. Another mistake is relying only on general advice. Eat less fat, move more, watch your numbers. These tips sound logical, but they ignore how the body changes after 60. The rules aren't the same anymore, and the liver doesn't respond the way it once did. That's why progress often stalls. What most people don't realize is that the liver follows instructions. It responds to signals coming from elsewhere in the body. If those signals are distorted, the liver adapts in the wrong direction. That's why treating it directly rarely solves the problem. You have to understand the system controlling it first, and once that system is clear, everything starts to make sense. Which brings us to the real mechanism most people never hear about. The truth is, the liver doesn't work in isolation. It responds to an internal regulation system, a system that controls how energy is used, stored, and released. This system operates quietly in the background. You don't feel it working. You don't see clear warning signs when it slows down, but its influence is constant. At the center of this system is metabolic flow. This is how the body moves fuel where it's needed. When flow is smooth, the liver functions with ease. When flow becomes sluggish, the liver compensates, not because it's failing, but because it's adapting to mixed signals, and those signals change with age. Another key part of the system is body signaling. Your organs communicate through chemical messengers. These signals tell the liver when to store, release, or process fat. Over time, those signals can become weaker or distorted, especially after 60. When that happens, the liver follows the message it receives, even if that message isn't ideal.
Then there's the body's natural cleansing capacity. This is not a detox trend or a quick fix. It's a built-in process that works when conditions are right. But it depends on balance, not force. When the system is overloaded, this process slows down, not because the liver is damaged, but because it's responding to its environment. This is why isolated actions often fail. The liver doesn't respond to one habit alone. It responds to the state of the entire system. That includes metabolism, signaling, and internal balance. When those are off, the liver adjusts accordingly, not as a mistake, but as a survival response. And that distinction is critical to understand. Once this becomes clear, the picture changes completely, because the goal is no longer to fix the liver. The goal becomes restoring how the system communicates. That's when real change becomes possible. And that's also why the next step matters so much, because understanding the system is only the beginning. What matters next is how you work with it correctly. Once you understand that the liver responds to a system, the next step becomes clear. That system doesn't work all at once. It follows a sequence, a natural order the body relies on to restore balance. Trying to skip steps usually leads to frustration because the body needs preparation before change can happen, and that's where most people go wrong. This is why the approach is organized into 3 distinct phases, not to complicate things, but to respect how the body actually works, especially after 60. Each phase has a specific role. Each one builds on the previous, and none of them work properly on their own. They are designed to work together as a system. The first phase is about preparation, not action, not restriction, and definitely not forcing change. This stage exists for one reason only: to reduce internal resistance inside the body, because nothing works properly when the system is blocked. Over time, the body can become less responsive. Signals don't travel as efficiently. Processes slow down without obvious symptoms. This is especially common after 60. The body isn't broken, it's cautious. It adapts to years of stress, habits, and overload. And before anything can improve, that tension has to ease. Preparation means helping the body listen again. It's about removing interference, allowing internal communication to become clearer. When that happens, systems begin to respond naturally, not through force, but through alignment. This is the foundation everything else depends on. Without it, progress feels inconsistent or temporary. Another key part of this phase is awareness, understanding how the body reacts to daily inputs. recognizing what creates overload versus balance, noticing patterns instead of chasing quick fixes. This awareness alone often creates noticeable shifts because the body responds quickly when pressure is reduced, and that response opens the door to the next phase. This stage is also about timing. The body needs space before it can activate anything. Rushing this process usually leads to frustration, but when done correctly, it prepares everything that follows. It's like clearing a path before moving forward. Nothing dramatic, just necessary. Once the system is no longer resisting, something changes. The body becomes more receptive. Signals begin to flow more smoothly, and that's when the second phase becomes possible. Because activation only works when the foundation is ready. That's when things start to shift more noticeably, and that's exactly what comes next. Once the body is prepared, activation becomes possible. This is the moment when the system starts responding again, not through force, but through support. This phase is about giving the body what it needs to function efficiently. Not more effort, not restriction, but the right type of input at the right time. This is where the protocol naturally comes in. It focuses on providing strategic support to the body, elements that help restore internal communication, components that assist the liver in doing what it already knows how to do. Nothing artificial, nothing extreme, just support aligned with how the body actually works. At this stage, the focus is on strategic nutrients, not in excess, not randomly, but in forms the body can recognize and use. These nutrients support metabolic flow. They help improve how signals move through the system, and they assist the liver without overwhelming it. There are also natural compounds that have been studied for this purpose, not as treatments, but as functional support. They help the liver manage its workload more efficiently. They work with the body's rhythm, not against it, and they fit naturally into daily routines. This is why consistency becomes easier at this stage, because the body is no longer resisting.
What makes this phase powerful is how subtle it feels. There's no shock to the system, no extreme reactions, just a gradual sense that things are working better. Digestion feels smoother, energy feels more stable, and the body feels more cooperative overall. This is where most people begin to notice real change. Not because something was forced, but because the system is finally supported correctly. And once activation begins, everything else becomes easier, which leads directly into the final phase, the one responsible for keeping results consistent over time. And that's what we'll look at next. This final phase is about stability, not intensity. It's not something temporary or extreme. There's no rush, no pressure, and no drastic changes. The focus here is consistency over time, because real balance comes from what the body can maintain, not from what it can tolerate for a short period. And this becomes even more important after 60. At this stage, the body begins to settle into a healthier rhythm. Processes become more predictable. Energy levels feel more stable throughout the day. Digestion tends to feel lighter, and the system doesn't feel overwhelmed anymore. This is why liver health over 60 depends so much on sustainability. The goal is long-term support, not quick fixes. What makes this phase effective is its simplicity. There's no constant adjustment, no pressure to do more. The body is simply supported in doing what it already knows how to do. And when that happens, effort decreases. Results feel more natural, and progress becomes easier to maintain. This is also where many people notice the biggest difference. Not because of something dramatic, but because things stop getting worse. The system stabilizes, and that stability creates confidence, which is a key part of long-term health, especially as the body changes with age. It's important to understand this point clearly. The objective is not to force the liver into action. The objective is to keep the system functioning smoothly. That's the foundation of how to reverse fatty liver naturally in an educational sense.
by working with the body instead of against it, by respecting its pace, and by supporting its natural processes. When this phase is in place, everything connects. The preparation makes sense, the activation holds, and the body finally has what it needs to stay balanced. That's why this system works as a whole, and why the next step is about putting it all together in a way that's simple, clear, and easy to follow. At this point, everything starts to connect, because once the system is understood, the next step becomes clear. That's why this information was organized into a complete protocol, not as a product, but as a structured way to apply what you've learned, with the right elements, in the right order, and with a logic that respects how the body actually works. This protocol isn't something you're forced to follow. It's completely optional. There's no pressure and no obligation. It simply exists for those who want clarity instead of confusion, for people who prefer understanding over guessing, and for those who want a path that actually makes sense, especially after 60, when clarity matters more than ever. Everything inside it is educational. It explains how the system works step by step, why each phase exists, and how they connect with one another. There's no hype, no extreme promises, just structured guidance based on how the body functions. This was created for people who are tired of mixed messages, for those who want to understand what's happening inside their body, and for those who prefer a calm, logical approach. Nothing aggressive, nothing rushed, just information organized in a way that's easy to follow and easy to apply. If you'd like to see how this protocol is organized, the details are available in the pinned comment below. You can review it in your own time. There's no pressure to decide anything. It's simply there for those who want to go deeper and understand the process more clearly at their own pace. Because once you understand how the system works, everything else starts to feel more manageable. The confusion fades, the guesswork disappears, and decisions become easier to make, which leads perfectly into the final step, understanding how to move forward with clarity and confidence. If this information made sense to you, that's already an important step, because understanding always comes before change, and clarity is what allows better decisions to happen naturally. There's no pressure here, no urgency, just an invitation to keep learning, at your own pace, in your own time. If you found this helpful, take a moment to like the video. It helps this kind of content reach more people who need it. You can also subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss future explanations like this one. Everything shared here follows the same educational approach. Simple, clear, and grounded in understanding. Nothing exaggerated or confusing. And if you're curious to see how this system is organized in practice, you'll find more information in the pinned comment below. That's where the full protocol is explained in detail. No pressure to act, no obligation to follow anything. Just a clear explanation for those who want to go deeper and understand the process more clearly. The goal has never been to push a solution. It's to help you see how the body actually works, so you can make informed decisions, without fear, without confusion, and without feeling rushed into anything. Because real understanding takes time. When you understand how your body responds, everything becomes easier to manage. You stop guessing, you stop jumping from one idea to another, and you start seeing patterns instead. That's where confidence comes from, and that's what lasting clarity looks like. Understanding the body changes everything, and the sooner you understand it, the better your choices become over time. Not because someone told you what to do, but because you finally see how it all connects. And when that happens, progress feels natural. That's when real change begins.